This is a quick video on some dev tools and console tricks. Chances are you know most of these already, but I hope that you just learned like one or two little nuggets from watching this quick video. So what we've got here is I've got a paragraph tag. When you click it, it's going to run a function called make green. And this function here, and I've just done that inline for simplicity's sake. I could add an event listener. There's no difference there. And when I run it, it will just take the first paragraph on the page and make it green and up the size, right? So that's something that happens to people where they ask me, hey, like I have some JavaScript running on the page, but I don't know what is causing it. I don't know what is actually changing it. I know it's JavaScript, but I don't know where the JavaScript that is changing that is running. So what you can do is you can inspect it, find it in your DOM here, break on attribute modifications. And there's some other ones here, like when you remove a child or you were to change one of the children's text or attributes or something like that. We want this one, attribute modification. Now, when you click it, it's going to pop a debugger command in. It's a breakpoint for us here. And it will then pause exactly where it paused. It'll tell us what the paragraph is, and it'll show us the line of code that is causing that attribute. And I could pause it and go through, and then we're done. So we can take that off just by going back to our elements panel and taking that off. Next up, we have a whole bunch of console.things. And you probably know about console.log, like hello, which will give you, obviously, you've seen this a million times, we'll log it. You can also interpolate values into it. So console.log, you say, hello, I am a, and then you use %s string, and then whatever you pass it in the other ones, you may have done another language like PHP in the past where it does this for you, and that will interpolate whatever you have passed as the second one into the first one. Now, I don't use that all that much anymore now that we have ES6 backticks. I much prefer just to do console.log backticks, hello, I am, and putting my variable right inside of there, but it's totally up to you which one you'd like it. We can also style our text with %c. So console.log, I am some great text. And if we put a %c in front of there, and on the second one, we do things like font size, and you can apply any font CSS to it, 50px. Whoa, I am some great text. We can also do things like background red. Whoa, you can do things like text shadow, 10px, 0, RGBA. Let's just do blue. You get the point here. You can do some pretty fun stuff with it. So you do %c in front of the thing that you want to style, and then the second argument that you pass to console will be interpolated right into there. It's going to comment out because it's obnoxious. We have console.warn, which will say, oh no. And that will give us a warning. It will tell us the stack trace as to where it got called. We have console.error, which will throw it won't throw an error. It will just display an error in the console. And again, that will also give you a stack trace as to where that was. If we had a couple functions calling to get to that point, it would give you the entire stack trace there. We have console.info, which will give you a little bit of info. Like I had like hold on, let me find you a fun fact here. Crocodiles eat 3 to 4 people per year. That's a fun fact. It should be console.funfact, but it's info, and it'll give you the little info one. You can use console.assert to check if things are true. So if 1 is equal to 1, you will say that is wrong. And if we run this, you don't see anything. Why? Because that is true. Console.assert will only fire if something is wrong. And then it will tell you assertion failed, that is wrong. If I were to grab the paragraph on the page, so const p equals document.query selector paragraph, and then you could assert that p.classlist.contains ouch. And then you could tell the user that is wrong. And if the class list does not contain ouch, it will tell you that is wrong, or you must supply a class. You get the point here. You can test for something, and if it is false, it will throw this error into your console here. And if it is true, nothing will happen. So you don't have to have an if statement in here. We have console.clear, which will clear your console. If you really want to mess with a developer, you could just put that at the bottom of your JavaScript file, because that's really frustrating. Viewing DOM elements. So I've got this paragraph here, and if I were to console.log that paragraph that we selected earlier, you see this is the actual paragraph. But how do you know what are the available methods and all the properties on that element? Well, if you want to use console.dir, that's going to give you a dropdown. So that's the element console log. Console.dir is going to allow you to open it up and take a look at the class list. Whoa, open that right up. Child nodes, the children, the data set on that specific one, the style, all the different properties and methods that live. If you want to see all the methods, you crack open the prototype. All of the stuff that lives on that element, console.dir will show you, whereas console.log is going to show you the actual element itself. Grouping things together. This one is actually pretty cool. I'm just going to run another console.clear in here. If I were to take this dogs array that I've got up at the top here and loop over each one, so console.dogs.for each dog, and then for each of these, I'm just going to like console log. This is dog.name. And we see this is Snickers, this is Hugo. But what if I have some other information? Age. I want to have like another one. Dog.name is dog.age, years old. Okay, and maybe another one, dog.name.dog.age times 7, dog, years old. So this gets a little bit hairy. You got a lot going on here. And imagine you were doing more stuff than just console logging 3 strings. You have a lot of stuff. So what we can do is we can say console.group. And you can start it up, and we'll use the dog's name here, dog.name. And then when you're done, you say console.group end, and then you pass the same string that you used to define that group. And now when you open it up, you've got Snickers and Hugo. These are the 2 groups that we've made by passing it, and you can close, open, and close them. If you feel like this is still a little bit messy, you can switch out group with group collapsed, and by default, they will be collapsed, which is really nice because you might not necessarily need that information. But if you do, you can crack open the associated one that you're looking for and see all the info that is associated for that one. Console.count will count however many times you use a specific word or number or object or DOM node or anything that you have. So console.count Wes, if I run that a couple times, it's going to tell me how many times I have run it. But if I were to take and say Steve in the middle and then do a couple more of those, another one down here and a couple more. So I'm all over the place here. It's going to just log them in real time, telling me how many we've iterated over, or telling me how many we've counted at that time. Finally, we have timing. If you want to see how long something takes, what you can do is start a timer. So console.time, we'll say fetching data, and then you can do something that takes time, like fetch some data from GitHub. And when you are done, you simply run console.timeEnd, and then you pass it the same string that you used to start it. And you can obviously console log your data at that time. And then that will tell us fetching data took 160 milliseconds. This time 104 milliseconds, 57, 62, 75, et cetera, et cetera. You can see how long these things are taking. I know there also is performance.now in the browser, but this is a nice way just to get a quick idea of how long your things are taking. You don't have to have variables or anything like that. You just start and stop them. Finally, there's one last one, which is console.table, but I've been showing you that one in every single video so far. You probably know about it, but you can take an array of objects. So an array, which is dogs, of objects, which is each dog. And assuming that they all have the same properties like name and age, it will display them in a nice table for you like that. It gets a little bit hairy when you have a few other, but you can always drag and drop the things, different parts that you want. That's it. Hopefully you learned a thing or two. I will see you tomorrow.